everyone. I am making bread and butter pickles today because if nothing else this year in the garden, I hope I'm not cutting my head off here. I hope you can see my head. I think you can. I'll take it up a little bit. If nothing else is grown particularly abundantly in the garden this year, cucumbers have. And I've done 3 batches of brine pickles. And right now in my refrigerator I have 1 large jar and 2 smaller jars of brine pickles. So now I am making bread and butter pickles with a recipe, and I can link. It's an all recipes recipe. Chef John. I don't know if anybody ever watches Chef John on YouTube. He's Food Wishes. He's great. So he did this recipe. And so I'm trying it now. I've made bread and butter pickles before, but I haven't made them often because I haven't usually had that many cucumbers to work with. So I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to do a hot water bath for these. They may seal themselves well enough without a hot water bath. That they could keep outside the refrigerator for a little bit because there's a lot of sugar and there's a lot of vinegar in them. But first, what you saw before, and then what I sped up was just cutting the cucumbers, and then so you cut the cucumbers and you add some peppers and some onions. So the peppers and the cucumbers are from my garden. The onions, I don't have onions in my garden, so store-bought onions. And so anyway, so then you salt them with like a couple tablespoons. Well, I did like half. I get a full plus a half of the recipe, so I think I used 3 tablespoons of salt. And you let the liquid come off, and then pour it off, and then rinse them for a while, he said. Oh yeah. I definitely retain the salt. And then, what I'm going to do next is do the pickling solution. Is this going to be big enough? I'm wondering if this is going to be a big enough pot for what I've got. I think so. We shall see. So yeah, so the solution itself is just vinegar, sugar, and a few different spices. I actually had to go out. It was funny, I put on Facebook of all the weird spices and herbs and things like that in my house. I did not have celery seed, and I did not have yellow mustard seed. Mostly because I use brown mustard seed for Indian cooking. And you pop those, and I read once that you don't try to pop yellow mustard seed because they go crazy. So it's got a lot of sugar in it. So they're pickles, they're a condiment, they're not something to like gnaw on even. I kind of figure that brine pickles are almost a medicine. Food is medicine kind of medicine. This is like food as dessert. pickles as dessert. So that's what I'm doing today. 4th of July was quiet for the most part. We had a thunderstorm go through in the evening, but it was wasn't any wind or hail with it, so it was fine. I didn't have a problem with that. And what did I watch last night? Velvet Buzzsaw on Netflix, which is kind of like it's kind of like a black comedy about the art world. And the reason why I watched it is because I had a nice conversation with my niece yesterday, and she works with an artist in New York, and she said she's the studio manager, and when they all watched this movie, they said, oh yes, that's exactly like, there's certain stereotypes, I guess, within the art world, as far as, like the business of art. Oh, quarter, I need a half cup of butter too. So I watched that, and it's kind of a horror kind of movie, but it was, and it's not a genre that I particularly gravitate to. So, but it wasn't too bad. So I watched that. I had a veggie hot dog and salad for dinner. My mustard seeds, 1 tablespoon. So what I want is like 1.5. So we got 1. So it wasn't a bad day. It was fine. It helped that I talked to my niece, otherwise I was feeling a little lonely. 1 teaspoon of this, so that's 1.5. So I hope you all had a good 4th of July. I watered the garden in the morning. I had a dog sitting, not a dog sitting thing, but just like I went over and checked on somebody's dogs because they were out longer than they wanted to be. So, and today I had to get my stuff for this. I had to get a couple of a few more stakes for the garden because I have big, tall plants that are kind of flopping over. E for the teaspoon. This calls for ground cloves. Some of them I guess use whole cloves, but this one calls for ground cloves. So I went to Lowe's for that, and then I had to pick up these things. And teaspoon turmeric. So that's what my day's been like today. I've been meaning to do these pickles for a while, and I even I started to do them at one point, and then I didn't have the mustard seeds and the celery seeds, so instead I did another brined version. And let's see, and I don't have whole peppercorns, and you know what drives me crazy is I get this from Costco, and you can't open it up. All you can do is grind this stupid thing. It makes me nuts. But that's fine. I'll just grind some and then it'll be fine. Whatever. So yeah, so with this recipe, you salt the cucumbers, and then you drain them and you rinse them, and then you make this. It's not brine because it's not the thing where it's not salt. It's pickling solution. It's a vinegar brine, I guess you might call it. So you you bring it up to a boil, and then you put in the cucumbers. I guess you let it boil for a little bit, and then you put in the cucumbers, and then you bring it just up to the boil, and then you turn it off, and let it, I forget how long you leave it for. Read the recipe. What does it say? What does it say? Celery, turmeric, ground clove, saucepan. Cook until brine flavors combine, about 2 minutes. Add cucumber mixture to brine. Heat until almost boiling. Remove from heat. Cool completely. And transfer to jars and store in the refrigerator. So I got some new jars. I wanted to get pint ones, but I didn't want to get, I wanted to get the wide mouth ones. It's like, I always run out of jars. I don't know how I do it. I just do. So I'm not going to sit here and make you wait for the vinegar brine to boil, but I'll come back later when I'm putting everything into jars. So I'm ready to, I'm going to be putting the pickles into jars, and I decided to go ahead and do a hot water bath for them, just so that I can keep some of them without stuffing them all in my refrigerator. And so while I'm doing that, I want to tell you about this book that I got, that I'm reading. Can you see that? Waking the Witch by Pam Grossman. It's very interesting. I'm only a couple of chapters in, and I think I first saw something about it on Twitter. Nico Case might have tweeted something about it, and the author has done some different interviews online, and it's really good. She kind of goes over the history of you know, the word witch and what it means, and what I really like about it is that she basically says it means whatever it means to you, and it's more about the archetype and the whole idea of being empowered. And I really like that, because while I associate myself, I won't say I associate myself, but while I follow a number of women on YouTube who are witches, I can't say that I would feel comfortable using that label for myself, and not because I think it's a bad label, but because I question how authentic that is for me, based on how I live my life and, you know, what I do. You know, I'm not a spellcaster, and I don't follow with any rigor, you know, the wheel of the year. I mean, I recognize things, but it's not, I don't think it's the same for me as it is for other people. And so it's kind of hard for me to just say, oh yes, I'm a witch. I would love to be able to say that, but I don't really feel that I can say that, you know, with any true authenticity. So I mean, I hesitate to do so. So it's, sorry, this vinegar hits you in the face. It's pretty powerful. But if I think about myself in the respect, with respect to my creativity, and I'm not sure how to do this here, and what I see as magical and empowering, how I incorporate those things into my life. I don't think it would be too out of line to, you know, take that label for myself. But I mean, I've never really cared for labels anyway, so yeah. But I do like what she's writing. I am looking right now in my life to come to a place where I feel comfortable with myself and like just empowered. And I'm not there yet. I'm still, after my divorce and everything, I'm still like kind of, I don't know, reframing my identity, and you know, just being alone is just it's very challenging for me. So I look to those ideas, those concepts, writings and things like that that might offer me some way to feel like good about myself. That's not quite right, but it's kind of like that. So yeah, so I'm doing that. This is almost looking like I could fill this one up, but I know that you're supposed to leave like headspace, so I don't want to overfill them. No, that's looking like it's too full. Anyway, I'll come back later when I've processed these and wrap it up. Okay, so it's time to take my jars out of the water bath. That looks pretty good. See? I ended up with 4 jars and a little overflow that I didn't put into the water bath, plus some of the brine was left, so maybe I don't know if I can use that for something else or what. It seems like a waste to just throw it away. Maybe make it salad dressing or something. They're not packed. I don't know how you get them to be packed like the kind that you buy, where everything's down to the bottom and they don't float, because you're supposed to leave headspace. Anyway, at least it's something. I haven't done any canning in, wow, a few years. Last time I did it, what did I do? I made some peach jam. If I had enough rhubarb this year, I would make rhubarb conserve. And in fact, I made a little bit, but it was so little that I wasn't going to bother to do a water bath for it. So I just put them in the freezer. So that's it. That was my effort for today. I've got a friend that's going to, yeah, finish your food, that's going to come by, and we're going to go to the first Friday at Candela for their Unbound exhibit. And that's it. I hope you're having a good day. Bye.